What's up, EFD squad? Today we're counting down 10 footballers you may not remember played for the mighty Man United. Let's take it away. 10. Giuseppe Rossi. American-Italian Giuseppe Rossi threatened to become one of Europe's top strikers back in the late 2000s, but his career was unfortunately hampered by a series of horrendous injuries. Before rupturing his cruciate ligaments in 2011, an ordeal which kept him out for nearly 2 years, Rossi was in the form of his life, scoring 32 goals for Villarreal the previous season. But years before he set foot in Spain, great things were expected of a young Rossi at Old Trafford. In 2004, he was brought in from Parma's academy at the age of 17, the same year an 18-year-old Wayne Rooney rocked up at the Theatre of Dreams. And in 2 years, the titchy Italian made 14 appearances amid fierce competition from Rooney, Louis Saha and Ruud van Nistelrooy. His crowning moments came in the FA Cup, where he netted a brace against Burton Albion, but it was sadly not enough to prove his worth to Sir Alex Ferguson. He was loaned to Newcastle that summer and transferred to Villarreal a year later after a short stint back at boyhood club Parma. 9. Gerard Piqué. We expect a few of you probably do remember Gerard Piqué's time at Man United, but it was definitely a case of blink and you'll miss it. The Italian centre-back may have grown from a boy to a man at Old Trafford, but he only really featured properly in one season. Snapped up from Barca's La Masia Academy in 2004, Piqué joined United as one for the future along with Giuseppe Rossi. In fact, the defender is just 1 day younger than the Italian. It took 2 years for him to make his full debut, and he made just 23 appearances for the club in total. Nevertheless, he gained invaluable wisdom from playing with Rio Ferdinand in training and partnering Gabriel Milito while on loan at Zaragoza, and even bagged a couple of goals in United's victorious 2007-08 Champions League campaign. But with new Barca boss Pep Guardiola keen to bring the youngster back to the Camp Nou, and with Vidic and Ferdinand immovable as the Red Devils centre-back pairing, Piqué returned home in 2008. Not that it was any bother to Ferguson, he had Johnny Evans waiting in the wings. 8. Karel Poborský. 1996 was a vintage year for England, or so they say. Britpop was at its peak, Trainspotting was in the cinemas, and the European Championships were in Blighty for the first time. What a time to be alive. The unlikely success story of that summer's tournament were the recently formed Czech Republic, and winger Karel Poborský was hot property after scoring the winner against Portugal in the quarter-finals with the most outrageous chip and putting in a man-of-the-match display in the final. Ferguson's head was turned, and the player moved from Prague to Manchester almost immediately. But unfortunately for Poborský, his preferred position out on the right was taken up by golden boy David Beckham, and despite helping the club to the Premier League title in 1997, lasted just 18 months before being sold to Benfica. 7. Robbie Savage. Now most famous for providing inane commentary and pouting on social media, it's easy to forget Robbie Savage was once a footballer, let alone him pulling on the red of Man United. But he did, and did so alongside some legends. The former Wales international was part of the famous side which won the FA Youth Cup back in 1992, and came through the United ranks alongside Giggs, Beckham, Scholes, Butt and Neville. However, Savage was released by the club in 1994, allegedly told by manager Ferguson that he simply wasn't good enough. Ouch. With the Scotsman's harsh words still ringing in his ears, the Goldilocks midfielder got in his car, slammed on the accelerator and crashed. He had to tell his parents the bad news from his hospital bed. 6. Tim Howard. American goalkeeper Tim Howard is a legend for his country and held down the #1 spot at Everton for 10 years, so you'd be forgiven for not remembering that it was in fact Sir Alex Ferguson who gave the stopper his first shot at the big time. Howard arrived at Old Trafford in 2003 after attracting attention for his commanding displays at MLS club MetroStars, now New York Red Bulls. He also gained recognition for battling Tourette syndrome while playing the game, and this strength of character helped him perform solidly in his first season at United. Despite his era leading to the club being knocked out of the Champions League by Jose Mourinho's Porto, Howard's displays on the domestic front led him to being named in the PFA Team of the Year. And at the end of the season, he became the first American since 1873 to collect an FA Cup winner's medal. But that was as good as it ever got. The keeper soon fell out of favour and made just 13 league appearances for United over the next 2 seasons, not helped by the signing of Edwin van der Sar in 2005. The following year, he found a much more welcoming home on Merseyside. 5. Gabriel Heinze. Argentinian left-back Gabriel Heinze joined Man United in 2004, and it quickly looked like the Red Devils had at long last found a suitable heir to Dennis Irwin. Heinze arrived at Old Trafford off the back of a busy summer in which he came runner-up in the Copa America and won Olympic gold in Athens with his national side, and when he finally made his debut that September, scored in a 2-2 draw with Bolton. That would prove to be his only league strike for the club, but the former PSG man's solidity on the left flank led to him joining Cristiano Ronaldo, Ruud van Nistelrooy, Roy Keane and Eric Cantona on the prestigious list of Sir Matt Busby Player of the Year award winners. No mean feat, given this was the same season a teenage Wayne Rooney kick-started his United career with 17 goals. But in a Champions League tie with Villarreal the following season, Heinze tore his ACL and was ruled out for the entire campaign. By the time he came back, Patrice Evra had been signed and was in the ascendancy, and he was offloaded to Real Madrid in 2007. 4. Ronny Johnsen. Next we have a Norwegian who was an unlikely star in Man United's Champions League glory of 1999. No, not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but Ronny Johnsen. Centre-back Johnsen was a fixture at Old Trafford for 6 years, and when Jaap Stam arrived in 1998, he found a perfect partner. The pair bossed it at the back that season as the Red Devils stormed to a historic treble, and Johnson's favourite opponents turned out to be Juventus. The season before, the Norwegian had deputised for Roy Keane in midfield in a group game against the Old Lady, and ran the show as United won 3-2. And in the 1999 semi-final, he was just as imperious defensively, with the side winning by the same scoreline to book their place in the final. But just as that season proved to be a peak of the Ferguson era, so it did for Johnssen's career. The rest of his time at United was dominated by recurring injuries, and he was sold to Aston Villa in 2002. 3. Laurent Blanc. He may have a World Cup and multiple French League titles from his playing and managing days on his mantelpiece, but did you know Laurent Blanc is also a Premier League winner? Chances are you may have forgotten. Ferguson was a long-time admirer of the French centre-half, trying and failing to sign him on 3 separate occasions before finally securing his man in 2001. By this time, Blanc was nearing the end of his career at 35 and was faced with the impossible task of replacing the outgoing Jaap Stam. It proved tough for the veteran Frenchman, and despite scoring in the club's famous 5-3 comeback win against Spurs at White Hart Lane, he could not stop them finishing below Arsenal and Liverpool in the league. Alas, the title was forthcoming the following season, meaning Blanc could retire from playing on a high. 2. Jimmy Rimmer. Name a footballer to have won the European Cup with 2 different English clubs. If your answer is Ashley Cole, Jermaine Pennant or Henning Berg, I'm afraid you're wrong. In fact, you're wrong if your answer is anything but Jimmy Rimmer. Southport-born goalkeeper Jimmy Rimmer came through the Man United youth setup under Sir Matt Busby in the early 1960s and sat on the bench for the Red Devils' famous triumph over Benfica in 1968. But unfortunately, the young stopper never had a hope of usurping Alex Stepney between the sticks and managed just 46 appearances in 9 years for United. But Rimmer found real success in his life after Manchester. First, he swapped to Old Trafford for Highbury, where he won Arsenal's Player of the Year in 1975, and then made his way to Aston Villa. Once there, he formed a solid defensive unit with Alan Evans and Ken McNaught, and lifted the Big Eared Trophy once again in 1982 by shutting out Bayern Munich in Rotterdam. 1. Henrik Larsson. Cast your mind back to January 2007. Man United are finally mounting a serious stab at the title after 3 years of falling short of the mark, and are set to spoil Mourinho's Premier League supremacy. Rooney is on fire, Vidic and Ferdinand have solidified a formidable backline partnership, and people are talking up Cristiano Ronaldo as the world's finest forward. But Ferguson still needed a little something to make sure his team got over the line. Turns out it was Henrik Larsson. The veteran striker arrived on loan from Helsingborg, making the most of the Swedish off-season, and scored in the Premier League, FA Cup and Champions League during his 2-month stay. Granted, that amounted to just 3 goals in total, but the club lost just once during this time, and the Swede also got to link up with some emerging world beaters. A very decent cameo for the then 35-year-old, who later said he regretted not staying longer. So that was our 10 players you may have forgotten played for Man United, but did we miss anyone out? Let us know in the comments below. Now, while you're still here, why not head over to our new channel, FDFC, for some footballing masterclasses. Disclaimer, I'm rubbish. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe.